All right, guys, what's going on? Just got everything ready to go. It's all being prepared, sharpening some blades. Talked to the guy that commissioned the actual board itself, and this is the piece that we're going to be doing on it. He liked the simple line work a bit more, so we're going to go with that. Had to rearrange the whole camera setup to do this, so I have the camera back on the overhead, and I'm using my standing desk, so I'm going to have to do this carving standing up, and it's going to be kind of difficult, to be honest with you. I've never tried to carve standing up. But as far as tools go, just have like the basic simple strap here. We're going with a single size flex cut blade here. I don't even know what size this is. It's tiny though. I've already sharpened this blade ahead of time, and I had to spend all day like after the stream getting everything ready to go for the cut and stuff. Dude, if I could get a butter knife sharp enough to go to go through this wood, maybe. I don't know, man. It is intense. Yeah, so I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. Just like wanted to pop in real quick. I have it set at 4:30, but I always try to make sure I'm starting to test the stream a lot earlier to make sure there's no connection issues and whatnot. Otherwise, I run into all these issues as it's time to stream. But let me grab that deck. So here's the deck itself. Already transferred the Leonard on there. Pretty simple process. If you guys haven't seen my video on hand carving skateboards, you can check that out on my channel. But basically I have the deck here that's ready to go. I have the artwork on there. And I'm going to actually use this tool to carve out all these white areas. And then the deck will be done. It's going to be kind of time consuming. I don't know if I'll be able to do this standing up. Because this board isn't flat and because of the convex and concave of the deck itself, it's next to impossible to make sure, or sorry, next to impossible to get like a proper smooth cut on a deck like this or like any type of wood like this. So it's just like not a common thing. So please bear with me if I end up needing to change angles again. It might happen. But yeah, I'm gonna just put the be right back screen on. Feel free to hang out in the chat, also on the Discord. And at 4:30 exactly, I guess it's close enough. Got like 15 minutes. We're gonna go in and start cutting everything. So yeah, but yeah, we'll be right back. Yeah, and just make sure to like the video and share it and all that random shit. All right, guys. So yeah, I'm ready to get carving. It's a little bit early, right? 5 minutes early, not too big a deal. And let me catch up on the chat here. Second start of the right. Yeah, dude, 100%. 100% that's Peter Pan's hideout. So yeah, I got the strap here on the side. I need to sharpen this every couple cuts, especially if I'm going to be carving standing up. I don't know how this is going to go, so I got to be careful not to accidentally stab my hand because these blades are really sharp. And that's just not a good time, so just deburr this real quick. And I guess it's time to get started. I'm going to try to see how this goes, but because see how this board is going to rock back and forth because the nose is pointed, I just got to take it a little slow. And I'm just going to get a piece of paper to put on here just to kind of help with any chance of scuffing the paint or anything like that. So this is just going to be so I can like rest my arm on there and whatnot. If I clamp it down, the problem with clamping it down is that it's going to actually like affect the finish of the board. Oh, what's up, dude? Oh, the sharpener? Yeah, no, I leave the sharpener usually just like on the side of the table. But I was illustrating how to actually sharpen the blade for those of you who don't know. So yeah, we're going to get started. I think I'm going to start in the lower jaw with all these ridiculous teeth details and just take it slow. So the line work for this actual piece, this is what they selected. So we're going to go with this one right here. It's pretty cool. So it's just going to, all the black lines will be what's cut out on the deck. It's a simpler looking, but it's still just as complicated to get these lines cut. So we're going to get started. And then I have a reference also open on my iPad here so I can check back for other details. Okay, first line cut. So yeah, it does take a while to get used to working with a tool like this. But once you've been doing it for a little while or you've done a couple, it gets a lot easier. I like to sharpen the blade as often as possible to make sure it doesn't snag. Horizontal? Yeah. The other thing too is if I slip too much and the blade goes off the path and runs across the paint, it actually polishes the paint, being a matte black. So it's good to go a bit slower. Sometimes I know I can pull off easily and try to keep it nice and easy. I'll probably move to slightly more complicated lines. It is hard because I do have to go across the grain with some of these curves. And that's always something that's going to be a difficult thing to do no matter what. So I just got to be nice and slow with it, take my time. Yeah, so the grain on this, on the skateboards, because they're so compressed and the way that they're shaped, luckily I'm not going directly into a perfectly flat grain. If I was, there would be more of a risk of that happening. And the layer of paint also helps prevent that. It almost works like masking tape on top of the whole thing, and it stops any of the actual wood from splintering up in that way. And because the cuts I'm making are so slow and minimal in the beginning, they're not going deep enough to where I have to worry about that, luckily. But it is something to definitely be concerned about on other types of wood. Even though a skateboard's constructed like a piece of plywood, it doesn't carve the same at all. It's much harder because a lot of the glues and the resins and stuff that are in the deck. But you want to definitely make sure you get into the wood and past the paint. There we go. Pretty smooth. All right, not too bad. Yeah, no, they're not like plywood. They're just, they use like the multiple plies, and then some companies don't even bother doing like the different directional grain, and some of them do, but a lot of brands, they just don't care, and they, like these cheap ones, I don't even think that, I don't think they do like the layered up graining or anything like that. A lot of blank companies, they don't bother. Yeah, no, it is kind of wild. I'm sure there's like a certain amount that have to be in that specific like arrangement of plies for them to actually be strong enough. But I have seen it before where boards that have like broken and they've just like snapped like clean in half. So I decided to change my strategy a little bit on this. I'm gonna go for some of these larger, long lines because I don't have to sharpen as often. It's more so with like the really intricate detailed stuff I gotta worry about. So here's a really tight area too. This line, and then the line of the lower jaw section on the top here. I gotta be really careful on this one. Sorry guys, just noticed the camera flicked off. One sec. Alright. Sorry about that. Still having some issues with the GoPro. I gotta figure out what those settings are. It's also like hard to look at this and then look at the reference that I have. Some of the lines, they don't necessarily match up the same way. Like the big empty gap here. Is the screen still black? There might be the long latency again on here. Just let me know in the comment section. I'm sorry. It's showing up on my screen as working again. Okay, cool. Chat delay is almost a minute. All right. Sorry about that. Yeah, I must have like hit the wrong latency settings again. Okay, it's working. Hey, what's up, dude? Welcome to the stream. Thanks for checking it out and coming by. Sorry, I'm just realizing my head's in the shot. Some of these lines I have to get pretty close to it to make sure I'm getting the cut right. And I'm just going to rotate the board a little bit to get some of these lines to make it easier. All right. So yeah, with this normally I'd have a bit more of a easier time rotating the thing I'm carving around, but because this is a board and the shape and everything, it's a little bit more difficult to maneuver around, especially while standing to carve. But while sitting, I just couldn't get the board in the shot enough for you guys to see the actual carving. Yeah, it is always good too just to make sure that you're doing the easiest cut you can, and it definitely helps prevent you from making errors and like weird mistakes. So I'll probably have to flip this around quite a few times just to get some of these really tight angles in the teeth. And this is the smallest U gouge that I have, so I might have to switch to a V gouge to get some of these more intricate lines. But I'm going to make that decision once I go into cutting into it. I'm going to start with one of those tighter grooves that I have with one of the smaller V gouges to get these line details. And if I don't like it, then I'll just switch to the sticker tool and I'll have to go slow around that. Yeah. So I'm trying to catch up on the chat too. Yeah, dude, it's always good to conserve some strength. This stuff is hard to cut into. So some of these other lines have more of a tapered point, and I want to try to save some of that for once I go with the tighter tool, but I'm going to close the loop of the eye. Just check my reference real quick. So I actually have the loop closed, but this line's a little tight. So I have to make a deviation from the original sketch just to match up with the style of the art. There we go. So I just had to make like a micro shift because the gouge is a little bit wider than the line art itself would allow. And that just happens every once in a while when you're doing woodcuts. If I were to do any smaller of like a tool line or like use a V gouge instead, the line consistency would vary so much that it wouldn't have the look that I'm going for. Wait, what? Sticker tool? Did I say sticker tool? Gouge tool. Or like a V gouge. I don't know if I said sticker. Sorry, my brain's all over the place. Yeah, my fingers don't feel too good, but you get used to it once you've been cutting and carving for a while. You just got to go slow with it and really let the blade do the work and not push too much into the material itself. Other woods and stuff like that are a lot easier to carve into. I actually have like a little test piece here. So this is like a much softer wood, and I can just easily like carve into this thing like no problem. But the skateboard veneers are pretty tough. They're pretty strong. They're not like a softer type of wood grain. Maple's pretty durable, so. All right, so I'm looking at some other details here now. I'm going to finish up this one on the eye. I think I'm going to save most of the nose, like cracks on the nose, for that smaller V-tool. No, this board, to my knowledge, is going to be hung up, so there's not going to be skated, which is always cool. I like working with like actual skatable boards though, versus just like a board shape. Just in case anyone wants to skate it, they can. Whoa. Sorry, I'm just checking out the Streamlabs stuff. Oh, am I getting yelled at by Streamlabs on a bot? Oh no, someone's attacking the stream with their bullshit. God, I gotta get a moderator. So yeah, on Twitch, apparently there's like a lot of issues where people will just post like weird bot links and shit to spam. So don't click on that stuff if it's not a link that I personally share. Don't do it. I'm just noticing that now. So anyone that's the one person on Twitch, don't click that link. And I just switched to a much smaller U-gouge that I forgot that I had. Just because I want the consistency of the line. If I wanted it to taper, I'd probably grab the V. But the U-gouges give you a much more consistent cut. And they're fairly easy to control, but this thing is so tiny. I guess it's technically a V-gouge. Yeah, it's a V-gouge. It's super, super small, though. Still fairly controllable, but yeah, it just makes a much smaller line. Whew. Starting to hurt my hands too. Yeah, no, I'm going to go with this finer blade just to get some of these details kind of hammered out. And then if I need to, I can always just go up with the larger U-gouge. I just want the lines to have a level of consistency, so that's why I like using a U-gouge typically more than the V-gouge. Yo, what is up, Austin? What's going on, dude? Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, this matte black paint too is kind of like a bit more rubbery. Hell yeah, you beat the COVID. Or you dodged the COVID. Hell yeah, dude. Yeah, I have a few marking blades, but I'm left-handed. So I always like buy a blade thinking I get handed marking blade. And then I get them and they're all right-handed. And I'm like trying to use them, but that's why they have that flat edge. So yeah, I have this marking blade, but I'm left-handed, so it's backwards, so I can't use it easily. That's why I don't use any like those regular knife cuts. I do have a few other like power grip sets, and the blade is also right-handed, but it's much smaller. It's easier to use. I'm just like a dumbass, and I assume like other people in the world are left-handed, but apparently I'm like the only fucking left-handed person that needs these tools. Because every time I try to find them, I can't find them anywhere, or they're super expensive for no reason. Oh yeah, I got scalpel blades ready to go. Before I have to bust this guy out though, my Kiwi knife. It's a sick Boston company. They make these out of like a sandstone. Got my like lasered wolf on there. Super solid tool. I always just like trying to use the gouges though for as long as possible before I need to do that. It's more so if I didn't have like when I go to the teeth, I might do that for like some of these X's and stuff. I'll probably use the scalpel. All right, and just checking things here. Nice, we got 7 people watching right now. Thank you guys for tuning in. Definitely make sure to like the video if you can. It really helps me out a lot and helps the channel grow. All right, it's looking a lot better. Yes, always like the stream. Exactly. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. But yeah, if you can always like the stream, that is super helpful. I'm almost on very much on my way to my goal for the end of 2020. My goal is to reach 1,000 at all this year. So already kind of amazed. The stretch goal of 1,000 is being optimistic, but the channel's been growing a lot, and I really do appreciate everyone that always watches the videos and the streams and stuff. It's just really cool. Yeah, man, that'd be insane. I can't even believe that the channel's grown as much as it has because I post so sporadically, honestly, with like everything going on. But I definitely appreciate everyone that's always like reaching out and stuff. Also, anyone that's watching the stream that doesn't follow Austin, like go check his stuff out. Just posted some new videos. He's up and running again, so go check his shit out. Austin, if you want to leave a link to like your newest video or your page, go ahead. Oh, really? Only mods can link? I gotta figure all this shit out. I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to all this shit. I'm just figuring it out. I swear one day the streams will be good. Well, on the Discord and stuff, there's a bunch of stuff posted there. So if you guys want to go on the Discord and like share links with each other's like social media stuff and whatnot, definitely go for it. There are links in the chat and in the description to join the Discord. And that's also, the Discord is completely free. I'm keeping the Discord completely public until the new year, and then I'm, I guess, going to turn it into like a Patreon tier or something, just as a way to help like pay for supplies and stuff, or kind of limit the amount of people as the channel grows, so there's just not a lot of people in there, because like I only want the people that really want to hang out and do stuff. But if you're already on the Discord and stuff, you're not going to get charged anything. I'm not going to like kick people off. But someone suggested that I do that. I feel kind of weird about it, so I'm still up in the air. I might do that. I might not. I don't really want to charge for anything that I post on YouTube, but gotta figure out some way to pay for some supplies and shit at some point. Yeah, that OnlyFans link dropping soon. It'll just be me gripping skateboards the whole time. I'm not going to repeat that because I think YouTube will stop me. They'll shut me down. But sure, man. I'll open a request. Alright, I'm going to switch to a different tool because this one's being a pain in the ass. So these are actually my favorite tools. These are the power grip blades. I think they're great. They're super inexpensive, cheap tools, and I'm going to talk shit on them, but I still think they're some of the best tools out there. See ya, dude. Thanks for stopping by. Seriously, appreciate it. Sorry, my dumb fat head's in the way. I gotta get in close for some of these cuts. Slowly getting there. these teeth are gonna really suck to carve, but I think I'm gonna carve around the edges and then go in with a tighter blade and then make those lines a bit smaller. If that makes any sense. I also recently thought about trying to do a deck in the future where I stain the ply and then paint the black over it and then cut out to see if some of the purple will show through. If it stains deep enough through the ply, but I'm not sure if it will. But if you guys would want to see something like that, let me know. I'll get a deck and I'll try to test it out on like an old board and carve something else. But this one's a commission. And they really liked that Reaper board that I did, so this is why we kind of like went with the same sort of style of cut. The skull was just something that I suggested. They asked if I wanted to do anything, so that's why I went with that. Oh, dude, no worries. No worries at all. I'm going to be streaming for a while, so I appreciate you always coming through. Don't worry about it at all. Life gets in the way, and that stuff's important. All right, so you can kind of see like where the teeth are, where I carved around them, and I'm going to cut those lines in with a slightly tighter tool. We'll see how that turns out. I'm not so sure I like the look yet. I can fix it. I just got to carve around. But sometimes this whole process is just experimenting and learning what works and what doesn't work for your style. So I'm just going to go in with this tight V, carve the line up, stop. Just really want to make sure that I knock enough out so you can see that they're different teeth. Just giving it like a little bit more of like a rounded edge and cutting in to kind of show some more separation, if that makes sense. And the only reason I'm cutting towards myself is because I'm not putting any pressure down, so I'm literally just skimming the blade across to knock out some of that black. Oh, nice. We got someone that just joined the Discord. If you guys want to go welcome them to the channel, or sorry, the server. Go do that. Wrong tool. Okay, I kind of like how that looks actually. The boulder line's kind of neat. I already kind of stuck with that, so I'm going to just keep going with that method around these teeth, and then I'll just go back in and cut in with the tighter blade where there's gaps. All right, looking pretty good. I still haven't decided like what line I'm going to use for the top part of the teeth, because it needs to be pretty tight together. I think the smaller U gouge might be good. I'm just testing out some stuff on a scrap piece. Yeah. All right, so the power grip U gouge is what I'm going to use. Then on the teeth, the insides of these teeth where the X's are, I'll probably use the scalpel blade. It's the little tiny spots of black that get so frustrating sometimes with this paint. And you gotta go kind of slow or you'll actually end up damaging the surface too much and you can't fix it. And it literally took me like 2 or 3 days to prep this board. Just had a bunch of things going wrong. Anyone that lives like on the East Coast or like more specifically New England area knows the weather here is insane. Like the other day it was like 40-ish degrees, and then today it's like high 60s. It's just so back and forth. So sometimes drying weird paints like this, you don't know what's going to happen because of the weather. And unfortunately, the first 2 tries with this deck, the paint would not cure and got all messed up. So I had to like strip it all off, start over, start fresh. And I was just going to go find another deck, but there's such a bad board shortage everywhere that when I called the place that I got this one, they didn't have any more. So that's the only reason I like start over, because I was going to save it and wait and do something else with this. But this is literally like the last board they had. Yeah, dude, I bet New Jersey's like super similar. I got a friend in New Jersey, and she's always telling me like, I don't know, she always sends like weird shit going on there. And the weather's really similar to how like Massachusetts is. Just like coastal shit. Did anyone do anything cool for Halloween? I just kind of like didn't really do much at all. There's not really much going on. I didn't like really plan to do anything, but it's like just a boring day in general. It's the weather. I think I worked. Oh yeah, the platform in that movie is so fucking metal. I was actually pretty stoked on that. I watched it. It was like it's an Italian film, right? Like on this weird platform that goes up and down. It's like kind of like commentary on social class and shit. been trying to like wean off of different movie subscriptions and shit. Yeah, that's was that on Shudder or is it Hulu? I don't even remember. Maybe it is Netflix. I have like so many that are like the random ones trying to find good, decent horror movies. And I got a Shudder subscription. I'm not disappointed. It used to be like pretty shitty, but now it's actually got a lot of good stuff on there. I was watching your video today actually where you were talking about the your love for Toxic Avenger, and I'm like, how did I never like think of that? Of course, this dude loves Toxic Avenger. The dude that directed that a few years ago actually was in Boston at the Coolidge Theater when they do the After Midnight movies. I think it was one of his other movies though. I can't remember. I think it was like Nukem High or whatever. I don't know. The dude that's like mad old that made the Toxic Avenger was there. It's kind of weird to see him though because he's just kind of like sleazy, but it's mad funny. Oh, seriously? See, I gotta go get back into that. I have a Toxie piece somewhere. I'll try to find it and send you a picture of it. When I used to do like more airbrush on paper shit, yeah, Toxic Avenger is like such a sick character to do that stuff for. Yeah, no, he was kind of a prick. I remember that like people were asking him questions, and there was this like one dude standing in line behind me that was just like, "You're a fucking asshole," and I was like, "Yeah, I got that vibe from that dude." Yeah, he was super proud of what's that movie where they kill the kid? And it was like he was like so honored. It was like he's like, yeah, still to this day, it's the only movie where like a 9-year-old's head gets crushed or some shit. And it was just like everyone was like, cool, like good job, bro, what an achievement. But it's like all those dudes that made like the cult horror movies and shit are kind of like that. They all just kind of like, I don't know, they're probably all fucking mad annoying to deal with. The only one I think that would probably be a cool person to meet, Elijah Wood, his company that does horror movies. What is it? Spectre, I think. Spectre Films. His shit's awesome. And I feel like Elijah Wood would just be like a cool dude to talk about horror movies with. Especially the stuff they put out is so good. If you haven't watched any of that, any of like the Spectre Vision movies, definitely check those out. They'll definitely fuck you up though. I'll be honest, they're like pretty intense. They're not as bad as like Studio A24, right? They're the ones that did like Hereditary and Midsommar, I think. But like Elijah Wood's company, they have some pretty fucked up movies that they did as well, and some like remakes. All right, not bad. So the teeth, I'm looking at these lower teeth and I'm already feeling severe anxiety. These are going to stress me out. So I'm going to try to figure out what I'm going to do first. I think I'm going to carve out all the tight details inside the teeth first, and then we'll go at the rest and attack with the V-gouge. They're going to be kind of an intense one to take on. Yeah, those just look absolutely terrifying. Let's see, what else can I do first? I guess I can get these tighter lines. Oh, there's one here I can pull. And then I'll probably switch over to the scalpel. Alright, so the lighting in here is really bad. I have to turn all the lights off in my room and use this desk lamp above me so I can see. So I gotta move this lamp down here just so I can see the cuts that I'm doing, because all of the lights are on the wrong side of my desk. for this video. So I'm just cutting in at a slight angle. The actual tool you would use to do this, if you were doing like woodcut stuff, would be these types of marking blades, but they don't really work super well for me because I'm left-handed, so these are backwards for me, so I can't use these. So that's why I'm using the scalpel instead. Yo, Austin, if you can make it to Boston though, for real, man, we should try to, if things ever open back up to being somewhat normal, I gotta take you to the Coolidge Theater, dude. I think you would really like it a lot. They do those after midnight horror movies, and it's always just the best shit. Just trying to go slow here too, because I don't want to slip and accidentally like slice my finger real bad. Hell yeah, dude. It sounds great. I'll hit you up at some point. And yeah, go have fun with dinner. He is an OG douche, that's for sure. He's definitely I feel like he built the foundation of like the douchey indie film guy. Like that whole persona is that dude. Like he's one of the founding people of that shit. He's got like a weird cult though. Even in Boston, there was a bunch of people that were just so pumped to meet the dude, and I'm like, okay. I don't know. Something about people that are just like really rude. That shit rubs me the wrong way. And I'm from fucking Boston, where everybody's really rude and like kind of shitty. Yeah, I've never been to Orlando. I got some family that are in Florida now, but yeah, I've never been. I haven't even like, I don't know. As far as like East Coast goes, I feel like I should have been to Florida at some point. I got invited to do stuff in Miami a couple winters ago, to do like walls and shit there, but it was kind of like sketch, so I didn't go. But I don't think they're doing any of that shit this year, right? Yeah, actually, I haven't watched Poultrygeist. I need to watch that. It's on the many lists of like, do I got an afternoon or something free where I can just watch this weird fucking movie? Because I feel like they're way more fun to watch with somebody else. You can enjoy the shittiness of a good B film with someone else. It always makes it more fun. Yeah, dude, I definitely want to go. I feel like that experience of just being able to paint walls with it being like a chill thing would be really fucking fun. My like graffiti days are they're behind me, I guess. Right? That's what you say when you don't do that shit as much anymore. When you're an adult and you can't talk about it. But doing mural stuff would be sick. I really miss doing that. Really like it. It's just it's such an endeavor to do. And Boston sucks for murals. Like, nobody wants cool shit here. They always want, like, weird geometrical shape shit that makes no sense and has no substance or meaning. Or they'll hire really dope artists from all over the world and they'll paint a piece and then they, like, paint over it the next year or some shit. I wish Boston was, like, more open to cool shit, but it's really hard to get walls directly in Boston. Just outside of Boston, though, there's all these other, like, smaller cities and towns. And they all have dope shit going on all the time. But Boston itself is, like, kind of whack, to be honest. All right, I'm going to take a quick break real fast. I'll be right back. Just going to get something to drink really quick and just stretch my hands a little bit. Feeling the arthritis. But I'll be right back. Like 5 to 10 minutes. All right, guys. Sorry about that little quick break. I got some exciting news though for like an upcoming video. I kind of teased that at the last video and the one before that, but I just got in samples for an upcoming video for Merch and Destroy, which I'm really stoked about. So I got some stickers last time. Man, they sent me a bunch of stuff in here. One second, guys. Oh, wow. This came out sweet. Interesting. Alright, so I sent a couple other sample options to see what they would do. And some of them, they followed the instructions, some of them they didn't. But that's okay. These are still pretty sick. There are different versions of the skull design that I had last time. These pink ones, I was hoping they were going to do a mirror finish, but it looks like they did a white vinyl. But that's okay. It still looks kind of... Oh, you know what? I think they did clear on these, actually. Let me just check these out. Sorry for the quick little excitement rant here. If these are clear, that'll be sweet. I just sent it over with some like color schemes and told them to kind of do whatever, and I had a few suggestions, but it looks like they probably either couldn't make the concepts work that I had, which I wasn't sure that they would. So they sent me. Oh yeah, they're sick. They're clear. Hang on a second. Let me pull that. Nice. How sick is that? So it's a slightly translucent pink color, which I think is sick. That's so rad. I can't show any more of that until the video comes out in hopefully a couple days. But I was waiting for these to come in, so these look amazing. Yeah. There will be a way for you guys to get these at some point. I just haven't figured out how I'm doing that yet, but it will be available very soon. Man, yeah, these all came out pretty sick. I'm going to have to check these out after stream, and I'll post about them. Okay, so let's get back to carving. Yeah, no, that looks dope. I had the idea to do like a fully metallic version of that pink color. I think they probably tried it and just didn't work out. So I just told them to do whatever, and those clear ones are really cool. Yep, transparent stickers. I'm going to have that in an upcoming episode in hopefully next week. It'll be part of the Merch and Destroy series, which has been really, really popular. Excited to kind of talk about the partnership with this sticker company, and there should be some promo codes. So yeah, it's I did a video with them before. Well, not with them, but on them. And it's a product and service I actually use, so I can recommend it. And we got to talking about doing this collaboration, and I'm really excited to show you guys all the cool stuff that you can do with Sticker App. Alright, so just cutting out these really fine details on the teeth, using the scalpel to do it. I could probably do this with the V-gouge, but the precision and the tight lines that I have in this sketch, I think I got to use the scalpel blade. This is also really hard to do while standing. So typically I'd be sitting down and I'd be able to get more leverage on my arm to perform these cuts. But it's okay. We're just going to kind of work with this for now. If I can ever get a real studio space again to work, it'll be a lot easier to film these because I'll have the space to properly set up for each video. Right now I'm limited to what I can do on my desk and in my bedroom, which is very small, but all my equipment's basically in this one room, everything I own, so it's very difficult to move around. Alright, this is looking pretty good actually. I'm pretty happy with this. Got one more tooth to do, and then the rest we'll go back and we'll use the V-gouge. And I think maybe in like the next hour or two we'll be done with most of the carving. I do actually. I have to add some lettering to this board. So I'm going to do this initial carving, then I'm going to ask the client what they want to do for the lettering and where they want to put it. So I plan on keeping it probably on this lower half of the graphic, so it's a little bit higher up. And typically when you put like a skull or an object like this on a deck, like if you look at all the Powell graphics, they're not really dead center. They're always up a little bit. And that's because they'll usually put either the Powell across the top to fit in perfect and like the name of the rider down here or vice versa. So they usually do that so whatever like the key essential thing is that they want to highlight on the graphic, other than like the line art and the actual art, like the name or whatever would be like down here. Oh, and usually they'll put like the logo also on the tail or something. So trying to keep it kind of classic to how I would design a board if it were just like a digital print. And if you guys are skateboarders or know other skateboard companies that are smaller that are looking for graphics, let me know. I love working with skateboard companies of any size, and I really just like want to work with brands that make cool stuff. And actually, if they skate, that's even better. Okay, not too bad. Yeah, I thought this carving was going to take me a little bit longer, but I think now that I'm kind of warmed up and the blades were really sharp, I was able to get a lot of like the big legwork done. And the original designs that I had planned as well to do were to be the reverse, where the lines would be on the board still and then everything else would be cut out. But I gave them the couple different options, and they really liked that Reaper board that I did last year, and that had a lot more intricate line work instead. And I was happy to do either one. It's these lines here are going to take the longest time because of all these tight little curves and whatnot, and then also around all these little teeth. So it's definitely going to be some work for sure, but we're going to get through it. It's going to be fine. I just got to take my time on some of these and really focus. So if I get quiet for a while, I'm sorry, that's why. And then the lettering and stuff, I'm just going to check with them, and I might have to do that off camera, I don't know. And we'll see how it goes. Trying to think what I want to attack first. These teeth are going to be very difficult. So I guess I got to go with that tighter U-gouge again. And I'm just deburring the tool really quick in between cuts. There's also polishing compound on here, so the friction also helps sharpen this slightly. Not as much as the suede side does, but enough to get through some of these detail cuts. For sharpening it, there's a few different ways you can sharpen these, but you usually use what is called a strop, a slip strop. So it's usually a type of microfiber or suede, and then you use a polishing compound stone, which is actually just this stuff here. So you rub it onto the suede or like the microfiber, or not microfiber, but it's like a pretty coarse fibered material that can hold this, and it works like sandpaper essentially, but it's so fine it's like a polishing compound. And then you run the blade along and you follow the edge and the curve of the blade. It's a bit more precise. You got to be careful because you can actually damage the blades if you don't do it correctly. So you do about 15 passes and you follow the shape of the blade. Then you run it along the deburring side, which are these pieces of wood here. So it's actually just basswood. And you just run it along like this. So this is like one of the more common ones. This is a smaller basswood one, which I like because it works with some of my smaller gouges, because I typically do more detailed work. But you can see you get really large gouges on this if you wanted them. And basically what I'm doing now, these little strokes here, they actually deburr the blade on both sides. You also rub polishing compound in there as well. And then you end up having a much sharper tool to work with. And it's always good to work with a sharp blade versus a dull blade. It'll travel easier. It's a lot safer. It just adds a lot of power behind the tool. And you don't have to exert as much effort to get through the wood. Yeah, it is essentially just like a knife, for sure. Some people use like electric like tools and whatnot to carve with, and that's totally fine. It's just I really appreciate the fine art aspect of doing traditional like woodcuts, and that's why I do them by hand. And it's just I don't think I would really ever go to using electric tools. And I'm okay with having to do like the stop and sharpen the tool kind of thing. It's not that big a deal to me. I think it's a part of the process, and for me, it's typically this is just something I do not only for fun, but it just like it's kind of relaxing. Just zone out a little bit and carve and just have a good time. Alright, so I'm going to start tackling the teeth, which I'm not really looking forward to. So we're going to switch to this smaller gouge, and we're going to try our best to get through these. And I'm going to do my best to maintain my sanity and not freak out. My head might get in the way quite a bit for some of these cuts. I just got to get close enough to see. Again, the lighting situation isn't the best in here when I have to do some of these videos. I think I just threw that wood chip into my keyboard, so that's cool. I should have covered that up before I started. It's probably going to be full of wood chips. And I'm cutting really slow, and I'm using my hand to brace the blade to stop it from slipping. And I'm going as slow as possible to make sure I can get through that line and cut properly without accidentally going too far and then creating a line where I don't want it. And now you can kind of see probably as well in the teeth right here that I just finished carving. With that larger line on the outside, it gives it kind of that larger stroke look. That makes it look more like a illustration, which I kind of like. Yeah, I'm really stoked on this actually. I'm pumped. I want to do more skulls. For sure. Let's do more skull art, skull boards. There's a bit of a challenge though, because I feel like Powell has done every single cool possible way to do a skull. So I was just like looking at skulls and I was like, oh, this would be a perfect reference. And then I would like look to see if Powell had done a skull like it, and then sure as shit they have. So I had to kind of come up with this one. I actually had to like make my own reference by using a 3D model of a skull and like separating it and doing all this crazy stuff just to get the reference right. To make sure it was something I haven't seen before. But I made a couple, so it'd be cool to do more skull boards or skull art. If you guys have suggestions or like requests for videos or people that want to commission, hit me up. I'm taking commissions all of this month, and then December I only take on a few because I only have like the first 2 weeks to guarantee it for holidays. So just something to keep in mind. I'm not trying to sell you anything, but like if you are interested, I try to keep my schedule realistic so I don't accidentally take on more work than I can handle and actually produce. I definitely would love to do some Godzilla stuff. I have slipped. It is an awful experience. I stabbed my hand really badly. Luckily, the blade I was using was small enough to where it was just kind of a deep puncture and I didn't need stitches. But I've had friends that have really messed their hands up. It can be dangerous because carving on a surface like this is not how these tools are intended to be used. So that makes it difficult, and that definitely makes me more prone to injury. So that's why I really try to slow down and not put too much force into the cut. But I have had friends that are printmakers that have really hurt themselves badly working with these type of tools. And it's usually just, like the blade was kind of dull and it gets caught, and all of a sudden the thing they're carving, it just breaks through because of all the force they add on it. I feel like every printmaker ever that does woodcuts has been hurt by a gouge tool in some way. You get like little cuts here and there. Because typically what you do this for is to make a print. And what you're carving is the plate. That's usually what these are for. I just like printmaking, and I have no way to actually do real prints in that style or anything. And I just like the look of the actual plates sometimes when they're cut. Just like the classic woodcut art. So I got to change up some teeth here because there's some wonkiness going on with the lines that are too tight. So on the skull itself, there's at this angle, the teeth have like a weird ledge that it sits on. Sorry guys, just saw that it went black. One second, I'm sorry. Camera might have died. Give me just a second. I'm just going to plug in some power. I'm really sorry about that. Okay, no, we're good. We're back live. I'm going to plug in some extra power. If you guys ever want to see my overhead desk setup at some point, let me know. I'll make a video on it. I do get questions about it every once in a while. But yeah, if it's something that you guys would want to see. Sorry, it looks like we're frozen. Give me just 1 second. Got to see what's going on with this thing. Might have lost power on the camera. One second, guys. We'll be back up in just a second. Okay. Should be back in 1 second. I just had to unplug some things really quick. And I just got to zoom in and get the angle back. Okay. Should have feed. All right, we got some feed here. And just got to get the zoom back in so you guys can actually see the board. Okay. Get the angle right. I'm so sorry, guys. It's just some things I can't really control with the setup, and just this camera turning off. There's really no way for me to stop it. Let me catch up on the chat here. Yeah, I have actually, but that's okay. That's kind of part of the process. You just have to find how to fix it then, and you change your design accordingly. The whole process of this is never going to be perfect, and I think that's what adds to the charm of doing woodcuts in general. It's a part of the aesthetic is that you see some of these mistakes and they kind of add a bit of charm to the graphic, in my opinion, personally. I know sometimes, like, if you mess up bad enough, you just start over, but I think it's kind of great when you see those mistakes and those flaws. It makes it human and not like a machine. Just the hand-done process of it. It's like when you ask a tattooer if they've ever messed up on somebody, they all of them almost always say, of course, you know. Of course they've made a mistake. It happens. It's very difficult, and it's just taking the time in the process. You usually do enough of them to the point where you know how not to make the mistakes after making them. Just like with anything else, you just kind of learn. But yeah, every once in a while on a board, I'll go too far and the blade will skip. It hits like a hard part of the wood, or if the grain is extra tight or something, it'll just jump. And then I'll just like run a line like right through an area that was supposed to be dark, and then I'll just have to find a way to be more creative with it and knock it out. And I don't always follow the lines exactly from the transfer either. I usually try to find the path of least resistance on the blade if I can, next to a line if something's giving me trouble. And I deviate just to make sure the cut's as clean as it can be. And then I usually go by and I clean up what I can for the transfer. And then that's kind of it. And yeah, let me know if the camera's back on again. Sorry, so it's showing up on my screen. If it's not on yours, just let me know and I'll try to do another adjustment if I can. Okay, so that's most of the teeth done. I'm pretty happy with that. I'm gonna add some other details in here. I just want to get the main lines done, and then I'll add some of the shaded details just to kind of give it more definition. Yes, I'm using a mini V right now. Okay, cool. Camera's working? Great. It's getting warm in my apartment right now. It was absolutely freezing yesterday or the day before. This weather's going to drive me insane. And I'm just noticing something with this tooth here. It's an outside tooth, so that like they technically kind of connect or make contact in the drawing. There we go, one of the first real squiggly lines. We're going to try to do the smaller one first. It might be a bit more jagged looking than rounded just because it's such a tight area that I can't really get it super accurate if I were to do it. Exactly, it wouldn't probably work as well. And sorry if my head's in the way. I just gotta get close enough so I can see the detail. I am looking to find ways to mount my better camera when I do these live streams, but that also turns off much more often than the GoPro, and it's a lot heavier, so it's harder to put in the overhead rig that I have because it's very flimsy. You can see the camera shakes a lot, and that's why I like using the GoPro, because it has some built-in stabilization, which kind of helps offset some of that natural shake that's in this rig. One of the main reasons, and because of how light the GoPro is, I can easily mount it pretty much anywhere and film a good top-down shot without having to worry too much. All right, we're going for it. We're going for this bigger line here. And I have the blade angled up a little bit higher. And I'm going much slower and just putting down a little bit more pressure just to make sure that I can cut through. But this is a very tight line, so I gotta just be a little bit more careful. And you want to slowly angle downward to get the blade to go through a little bit easier. So right there was a bit of a slip. I'm just going to bring it back around. And that happens a lot on the angled cuts going up on the concave, or sorry, the convex of the board towards the center where it's more rounded. The blade will shoot up on that because of the angle of the actual deck itself. So anytime you're going in that direction, you want to be a bit more careful because the blade is more likely to jump on that sort of angle. Going down, if you put the thumb against it like that, it gives you a bit more leverage to stop it from going out. And I'm just using my fingers to help me balance the blade too. Just slowly snailing along here. Ooh, that was a close one. That was pretty deep. It stopped enough, but I'm going to add some texture here, so that's okay. But you see what I'm talking about? You got to be real careful on these long cuts because the blade can just hop like that. Luckily, it didn't penetrate the paint that deep and didn't shine it up too much. So I'm going to add some of these textures in a little bit. It's not going to even be noticeable. Yeah, it can be a little terrifying. I get a little nervous sometimes carving, but I try to just keep it slow and do what I can. I also hold the grip lower instead of in my palm because the palm is what's going to give it too much force. It is easier to control for longer lines, but I try to keep the blade low and very little pressure, and I'm actually using my body weight to help cut and a little bit of the strength in my fingers to resist that body weight. So you do feel it for sure. It's a little heavy on your hands. And I usually can carve a few boards a month that are this detailed, because it does hurt my hands a lot. But you can kind of see how tight those lines are in there. It's because I'm able to take the time and really assure that I get that look. And just deburring, I'm going to have to sharpen this. Actually, you know what? I'm probably going to be able to make it to the end of this, luckily. And there's a little bit of a squiggle in the eye here, which I think I'm going to do. And then we're going to add some texture on some spots to give it a bit more definition. And to kind of like blend in some of the thick to thin lines a little bit, we'll start cutting back and cutting in and making some other little grooves here and there. And it will just kind of improve the overall look and give it a much more dynamic look against the all black background with the negative space of these lines. If I were carving this the other way, it would have taken me, I wouldn't even be close to done. I'd probably be still up in these top sections of the skull. But the drawing took a while. I mean, you guys watched the 4-hour stream yesterday of doing those different versions. But you got to do that stuff when you get commissioned sometimes to really give people options to know, because you can't necessarily see the vision they have in their head either. And it's always like the best interpretation of what they want with the information they give you. Okay. Alright, pretty happy with how it looks. Now some of the paint will start to peel up a little bit, and that's okay. You're gonna get like bits of gray tones here and there from the gesso underneath. So you want to make sure that wood is carved out all the way. Last bit of these curves on this one, and then we're going to add the final detail textures. And I think it should be pretty good. Maybe like another half hour. Okay. Yeah, sweet. We got one of the scariest lines done on the entire board. I'm very happy to have that one done. That one's a little stressful for me. So yeah, this is how it's looking so far. Looking pretty good. Now it definitely needs some details in this eye socket to give it some more shape. And I'm just going to pull up the reference really fast. Now on the reference drawing itself, you see all these really fine little detail lines that I have in here. Some like little textures on the chin. That stuff just adds a bit more dimension. And I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to pick a line, go very slow, cut in some of those details, not stress about it. And I think this actually adds more of the style of how this looks by just freehanding these areas and shading like you're sketching. Just kind of gives it that shape, you know. And these lines are in the example art that I sent to the client so they can see them before I would do something like this. So they already saw it. They like this style. So we're just going to go with it and just add these little details on the teeth. See those little scratches? They make a big difference adding like little marks and stuff in here. So we're just going to keep adding little bits of texture. That kind of represents some shading. And then here we have some other ones that actually go inward. So they would actually be easier to do if I flip the board around. Now I have the artwork here so I can see it. I can kind of see where those lines are. And they just go into this edge. So luckily that line that slipped actually matches the contour of some of these shaded details in the sketch. So that's very lucky that that ended up just working out that way. Nice. So now we got the little bridge gap here. So this will actually give some definition to this contour by going up towards the eye socket and angling inward. Now the nose already has some detail that's a little bit larger, so we're just going to throw some of these smaller marks in here to really give some more detail and definition to those edges. And we're just going to cut into some of these finer lines. Yeah, I do need to figure out some music. Sorry, it's like so quiet. The last time I tried to do it, YouTube would copyright claim my videos, even though I had like a license to Artlist to do it. So Artlist has been advertising a lot lately that they have the ability to be streamed without you getting copyright strikes. So I got to try it again on another stream. I'll do it on a test stream next week, probably on Wednesday if I have the day off still. I'll do another like afternoon stream and I'll do a test on there for like an hour or two to see if I get the copyright strikes or not. But the last time I tried to do that, strikes, which really sucked. And down, then you gotta start. And at the time when I first started streaming, I had like a lot of viewership almost every video. I had, 10 to like, actually sometimes even more. I think the most we have were like 14 viewers, and that was before I was multi-streaming on Twitch. And it would just like end the video, so people would get frustrated, and it would take me like 5 minutes to set back up, and all those people would just leave. So I will be adding more features, though. There are interactive elements on the stream for like when people subscribe to the channel or like donate or any of that. Like there's other things like that. There's the stream boss battle, which is built into, which like allows people to do different things on the stream to kind of compete. But hopefully more streaming and the more views as the channel grows, I'll be able to do a lot more. And if I ever like grow Twitch as well, that whole platform has a lot more interactive capability. But I do keep my my Spotify activity public on Discord usually, so you guys can see the stuff I listen to throughout the day. I don't know. I feel weird because I listen to like a lot of weird music, but people ask me a lot what I listen to, and it's kind of a mix. A lot of like skate punk and hardcore stuff, but then also a lot of like 80s and weird post-punk stuff. Sorry guys, 1 second. I'm just going to be right back. I'm just getting a call. Okay guys, sorry about that. So yeah, actually you can see the little interactive thing on the screen up there where it says Kevin. That's the stream boss feature. It's more interactive on Twitch than it is on YouTube, but it does react to certain things on YouTube. All right, guys. So that looks pretty good for like the minimal amount of detail. I might add some more texture. But that looks okay. It's not bad. I actually really like how this is turning out with the texture that's on here. Kind of minimal and more like scratch details. I think it's cool. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for tonight's stream. I'll have photos of this probably tomorrow night or the next day of the actual final. But thank you guys so much for tuning into the stream. Got this done a lot faster than I thought I would. Let me just turn this light off so you guys can see the detail. But really happy with how it came out. I just got to add the lettering. I just got to see where they want to put it. And then I got to ship this thing out to them. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking the video. Everyone that's subscribed to the channel, anyone that's new to the channel, anyone that joined the Discord, you know all the stuff. It's a whole list. You've heard it 1,000 times if you've seen a stream before, so I don't want to bore you. But everyone have a good night. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you guys next week. All right, Wolf, what's up?